Australia's security agencies are getting their biggest shake-up in decades. The Prime Minister's announced he'll give the Immigration Minister Peter Dutton a new super portfolio with responsibility for Australia's spy agency ASIO and the Federal Police. But Labor argues Mr Dutton's only getting the promotion because Malcolm Turnbull wants to keep his hands on the top job. Stephen Jedgetts reports.
Malcolm Turnbull is waiting for no one.
Well, good morning.
The Prime Minister led out a Praetorian Guard of ministers this morning to announce a new order.
The most significant reform of Australia's national intelligence and domestic security arrangements and their oversight in more than 40 years.
But one minister looms large in this new world. Peter Dutton will head a new super ministry called the Department of Home Affairs, which the government wants up and running next year. Mr Dutton's already in charge of the Australian Border Force. Now he'll add several more arrows to his quiver. He'll take responsibility for the Australian Federal Police off Junior Minister Michael Keenan and Australia's spy agency ASIO, which will be taken away from the Attorney General George Brandis. That gives Mr Dutton vast new powers, which he's promising to use for one purpose.
We make this announcement today with this promise. The Home Affairs portfolio is dedicated to keeping Australians safe, to doing everything that we can to defeat the scourge of terrorism.
There are checks and balances. George Brandis will still sign off on ASIO's warrants and argues he can now focus on holding the agency to account.
That is what the Attorney General is meant to be.
Governments of both stripes have mulled changes like this since the Twin Towers came down in 2001. But the government says its new department will not be like the sprawling Ministry of Homeland Security in the US, but smaller and more nimble.
We can't take an if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach.
Still, Australia's intelligence chiefs have never been convinced there's any need for changes.
I can't remember a time, I must say, when collaboration and cooperation has been as strong across the various national security agencies.
And some heavyweights remain very lukewarm.
I think there is a reasonable argument in respect of immigration and bringing immigration closely together. But I think beyond that, it is primarily presentational.
While Labor senses another motive.
Everybody knows that Malcolm Turnbull has to keep Peter Dutton on side so that Malcolm Turnbull can keep his own job.
The coalition's declared it makes sense to bring the nation's formidable security agencies under just the one minister. Some insiders agree the changes do make sense on paper, but they argue there's a risk the new super portfolio could encourage groupthink and discourage healthy debate. Stephen Jedgetts, ABC News, Canberra.